Hey everyone, it's Jeff Risen coming at you with your daily DLP for 12/23. That's December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. Hopefully you've got all your shopping done. If not, you know what to do. Go to Amazon, but click on the link from the Detroit Lions podcast first, and we get a little cut from that. We appreciate that. But it's probably too late to get your shipping done. So hopefully you're good on that. And yes, I am intentionally avoiding talking about the Lions directly because it's still depressing. That loss Sunday, that was a tough one. And went over some of the film yesterday. It was a travel day for me, so I didn't get to pour over it in the detail that I normally do. But I did rewatch the game, and it didn't get better the second watch, unfortunately. Some things did, but one of the key things that came out about it was how poor the Lions played in the trenches. And even when the game was going well for Detroit, offensive and defensive lines were not playing well. And it's a rite of passage in sports media. Day after a game, everybody looks at the PFF grades. And I did too. I tend to like to watch the game again before I look at the PFF grades. And then I sort of like, okay, does that make sense? Because look, they're useful, but they shouldn't be like a be-all, end-all. Trust your own eyes first. And they did a pretty good job this week, I think. And I want to bring it up. Which one do we have here? The overall grades. Let's look at this here. All right. That's the overall grades. And you got to scroll down here a little bit and look at the bottom down here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you'll notice that it's the worst graded run game. The two worst graded run blocking games of the year are the last 2 weeks. The worst run defense games, last 2 games. Tackling fell off a cliff this week. There was one worse. That was Kansas City. But look, you're not going to win a whole lot of games when you're not blocking above 50. And by the way, their standard base score is 60. So if you're below that, that's not good. If you're in the low 40s, that's really not good. And that backs up what we all watched against the Steelers. The offensive line was poor. There were some bright spots, and I'm glad that Dan Campbell talked about Kingsley Eguakin. I thought he did a decent job at center, enough that I want to see him again. I think he earned another week, earned the last 2 weeks, honestly. Let's see if he can be a useful backup in 2026 and beyond. I don't think he's going to be a starting center, but this is his second year in the system. Let's determine if he can be a low-cost backup next year. He does play guard as well. He was a left guard for some time when he played at Florida. And he had, I thought, a decent game. Not the best, but for his first, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a good defensive unit. They're a well-coached, well-schemed team. And that he held up acceptably. Good job, Kingsley. Look, we know what Graham Glasgow is and what he isn't. What he is a proud veteran, gives his all, tries his hardest, smart guy. Goff trusts him. By and large, the coaches trust him. What is he not? He's not part of the future of the team. Just being honest there. Kingsley might be. So let's give him another couple of weeks in the way that they did with Christian Mahogany a year ago, and let's see what he can do. That's I would like to see that. But that defensive line, man, I don't know where the answers are for that. They just didn't play well, and there is too much invested in that front for them not to be more effective in just basic run defense. Too easily blocked. And that's true of all the guys. And that includes Aiden Hutchinson, by the way, against the run. He gets a little stuck to blocks at times. It's something that I would love to see them emphasize this offseason is the ability to shed blocks. And look, I've watched them do the drills in practices. They have drills for it, but I think it's something the mindset just isn't there for it. Whether they're too passive, whether they're thinking too much, and that could be a problem as well. It's just not effective. They did try a little bit more in the pass rush. We did see some stunts. We saw a couple of loops, decently effective. It's tough to do that against a veteran like Aaron Rodgers, who gets the ball out ridiculously fast and intentionally so, because he can't really throw down the field. The one longest throw that he threw was a grossly underthrown ball that resulted in a fluke touchdown that still grinds my gears. Oh. Sometimes the sun just shines on you, and that was a case of the sun shining on the Steelers and not on the Lions there. But you make your own luck. How do you not touch him? I understand Anzalone, he literally went head over heels. I don't expect him to get up and sprint over and touch, but none of the other guys were there. None of the other guys, even if you think the pass is incomplete, did you hear a whistle? Did you see him touch down? But for the line, man, pass rush was better than the run defense in this game, honestly. And that's a frustrating one. Shouldn't be that way. DJ Reader, Tyleik Williams, Aleem McNeil. Well, that's a pretty significant investment in the defensive line. It's not like they haven't fortified the middle or tried to fortify the middle, and the guys just aren't playing that well. Aleem is a good example of a guy who's coming back from an injury, and the expectations that we all had, and I'm going to raise my hand here too, expecting him to be the Aleem McNeil of old after not practicing and not playing football for 9-10 months, unrealistic, unfortunately. Just the way it is. He looked great in that first game. Since then, he's not been very good. Did make a couple of nice run stops late in the game, but overall, he's been disappointed, and I'm sure he will tell you that he's disappointed in this play as well, that it's just not come back as fast as we all wanted it to. Something to remember next year with Brian Branch, as he's coming back from an Achilles. With Terrion, as he's coming back from shoulder surgery. There's that one's a little different because it's not his legs, but still, you got to be careful in overestimating what these guys can do coming back. Who knows what's going on with Kirby? That's a story for another day, unfortunately. Yeah. But, the Lions just got to do better. Some of the simple things that they did. And again, the linebackers. I don't think this was Alex Anzalone's best game aside from the coverage gap. Don't think this was Derek Barnes' best game. He had a couple of nice stops early, but then he's chasing tails. Jack Campbell, ridiculous volume tackler. He did miss one. He's allowed. He's allowed one. Played a very, very fine overall game, but there are also times where he is running to the outside of the hole and then working his way back. It would be better if he met it in the hole. He gets the job done, though. At least he's not blowing tackles the way some other teams and other guys do. And the frustrating part with this is because the Steelers' run defense isn't good, and they did those things. Their line held up. They stopped holes. They stopped the Lions' offensive line from doing what they wanted to do. Their linebackers filled properly. Their safeties especially filled very well. They contained. Now, granted, the sample size is small because the Lions abandoned running the ball way too early, in my opinion. Play calling wasn't great in this one, to be kind. But they did, again, they scored enough points to win. Oh, it's just a melange. It's frustrating. So as the game ended, and as I was doing the daily for one day, I was pretty upset that the Lions have to play on Christmas. and I still am. I don't like the fact that they're playing on Christmas after they also play on Thanksgiving. Parenthetically, they also played on my anniversary this year, which I don't care for. But that's a me problem. That's not something that the players have to worry about. But now I'm happy that they get to be back on the field again so we can stop reliving this Steelers loss because it's painful. You get the Vikings dilapidated. Like, I think they've put 7 starters on injured reserve since the last time we played them. Will certainly help. Of course, we have too. Get well soon, guys. I wanted to look at the offensive PFF grades too. Let me pull this one down. The blocking grades. This is this is not what I'm looking forward to. This one right here. Where's it at? There it is. Bear with me. I'm still learning how to do this. Offensive line grades. And one of the things that you notice very quickly, your best players, your linemen, are nowhere near the top. Dan Skipper played 1 snap as an extra tackle. He got the baseline 60. Miles Frazier in there, he played 4 snaps, played 1 series at right guard. Gave up a pressure. Well, I'm sorry, he played left guard. Stopped in for a series for Mahogany, who had a rotten game, because we got to scroll down here to see Christian Mahogany. Those are rough scores. That certainly passes the eye test. The one to focus on, Penei Sewell. That might be his worst game. Gave up pressures. We saw that. This is an all-pro having a really bad game. This is something that Chris and I have talked about, something that I've talked about and written about a lot. Your best players have to play like your best players. Otherwise, you're not going to win. That's the way the NFL is. Wasn't a great game from Penei when they sorely needed him. Now, was he weighed down by the fact that Tate Ratledge next to him also didn't have a very good game? Sure. The tight ends to the outside of him didn't have a very good game? Yeah, that matters. Of course it does. It can't not matter. It's tough. Goff didn't have his best day. Did run block well, apparently, as the stats there show. The 1 run block that he got. It's difficult to run when, and again, I talk about this play. The early play where they ran to the right. By the way, keep running to the right. That helps. Penei's good over there. And Christian Mahogany, your left guard, is designed by scheme to get around Penei's outside shoulder and pick off the edge on that side. With Mahogany coming off of a leg injury, he's not the fastest guy to begin with. Help your guys out, man. The Steelers did a good job of that. They have a backup left tackle and a new backup left guard starting in this game. They didn't have those problems. Why? They played to what they had. Continual problem for this Lions coaching staff is that they don't coach the team that they have. They coach the team that they want. Can't do that. You got to make concessions and play to the strengths of the hand that you're dealt. You might think you have pocket aces. Right now, the Lions are playing with an off-suited queen 7. Like, you might get lucky, but let's try to play at least to the queen and not to the 7. I don't know, but elevate those 7s. That's not something that this coaching staff has done a very good job of, from Dan Campbell to John Morton to Kelvin Shepard, Casey Rogers, Hank Fraley. Insert coach's name here. They haven't done a good job with that. Not one of the things that this staff has. I hope they learn it. Because I thought they did a pretty good job last year defensively, even though the results were obviously god-awful. But the fact that they plugged and played dudes off the street in and sort of dumbed down the defense enough that they could function, maybe that's something that they should hearken back to a little bit with the offensive line. Again, there's talent there. Christian Mahogany, Tate Ratledge, very strongly believe they're going to be a very good interior tandem wherever they wind up playing, whether Ratledge is at center next year or right guard. He's a good player, got a bright future. Mahogany has a bright future. He had a really bad game coming off of an injury against an opponent that you don't want to have those things happen to you for. Understand that they're young. Understand that they're still learning. Understand that they're playing hurt. Didn't do that very well against the Steelers. And those PFF scores that we're showing here, that's where we're at, guys. On to Minnesota. Lions are favored in this game. They should be. Hope they win. But again, I hope we see more Iguakun. I want to see more of the young guys across the roster. Let's see more Nick Whiteside at cornerback. I thought he had some promising moments in this game. Do we think that Amik, who's going to be a free agent, is going to be back? Well, if you look at the last 4 or 5 games with Amik, he's probably not worth that money. If you can save it and get Nick Whiteside, who's got upside, plays with passion, same sort of passion that Amik does, a little less vocal, but I want to see that. Let's see more of Trevor Nowaski. We know what we want to see a little bit more of what he can be. Let's see Tyleik Williams. Let's let him play more. Let's go. There are opportunities to get guys reps. Is Marcus Davenport a part of the future of this team? I don't think so. Kind of hope not. Hopefully we've learned that lesson. Once bitten, twice shy. 3 times a lady. Probably time to end that experiment. Let's see what somebody on the bench has. Maybe try playing a full-time Sam. I don't know. It's tough to change your scheme this late in the year. But you can change personnel. And look, I understand if the Lions win on Thursday, and I do expect them to win, the playoff life is still there. It's low, but it's still possible. And you're playing, the eyes are still on the prize. Certainly for this coaching staff, they're going to try to get into the postseason with whatever they can do. I don't fault them for that. You play to win the games, as Herman Edwards once said. He's right. But you got to hope that Green Bay loses. And again, their injuries are pretty severe. We don't know if either Jordan Love or Malik Willis is going to be able to play this week. We probably assume that one of them will, but they've got some problems there. It's realistic that they do lose out. Tough to weigh that. Because you do want to see Iguakun. You want to see Whiteside. You want to see more of the youth movement. I think we know what Shane Zylstra is at tight end. Do we have anybody that we can bring in there? It's tough. It's tough to balance these things, but that's the issue when you're 8-7 and you expect it to be 11-5 or 12-4. It is what it is. It's going to wrap today's daily. We'll be back at 8 tomorrow. We'll have tomorrow's earlier for you. This one got delayed a little bit with life interfering, as it does. Very happy to be with you all. Like and subscribe so you know when it's going to come at you. We will have another daily on Christmas Day, pre-game preview type thing. We'll probably get one in on Friday, although I think Chris and I are attempting to do a live show Friday. We will see how that goes schedule-wise. Look, it's the holidays. Y'all make the most of it. If you're off work, enjoy it, relax, be with your friends, be with your family, be with your loved ones. If you're working, keep a smile on your face because people probably don't want to be out where you're working either. It's just the nature of things. But with that, Jeff Risden, Merry Christmas.